So I want to talk about Peter Zeihan. Um, First of all, I think he's a very smart man. He has all the credentials. He has the background. He's got the fame. He's got the clout. He's got a really good understanding of how things are tied in together, and in terms of geopolitics, in terms of uh, economics, even on a even to a certain degree on a technical level. I think he has a good understanding of like things. But what I want to address is his basically his take on China. And while he's possibly correct when it comes to Xi Jinping's policy, just politics in general, and the way how China is basically priming itself for a potential not so prosperous future anymore. I think he's going a little bit too far with some of his assessments. I don't think that he really knows China too well, at least from a sort of inside perspective. He compares China's birth rate with. He basically is saying that the declining birth rate in China is going to be the primal factor, if not the number one factor, that is going to starve its economy, but not just for China, pretty much for any country that he mentions. His number one factor is population growth, or the opposite thereof. And I think that is exaggerated. And why do I think that this is exaggerated? It is because in past centuries, or in human history in general, whenever there was degrowth, mainly due to wars or famines or disease outbreaks like the Black Plague, it never really did much to the economy, because if you have a sort of shrinkflation or a shrinking scenario in which in a linear fashion economy shrinks down along with the population, it does not really matter that much. It does not really matter that much. Why? Because if you look at it from a GDP point of view, yes, certain skills become more scarce. There's rejuvenation is like an important factor for the capitalistic system. It always needs fresh, new, young blood to like operate. But humans don't really need it. Like, and even economies, I would even go so far to say economies do not need to grow indefinitely. And here's where I think actually the chance lies in the entire thing, is that if a country shrinks, it reduces a lot of pressure. It introduces new pressure. I'm totally aware of that. But the reduction of pressures on the other end, for example, employment, for example, environment. So those are all factors that are decreasing in a sort of equal fashion. So the overall saldo, the net outcome, is, in my opinion, neither negative nor positive. It sort of like stays the same. It's like a buoyancy thing, you know. You let a little bit of, you vent a little bit here and you introduce a little bit there. it does not do harm much to an economy in itself. Yes, the size may shrink, the certain features that work better on scale may be a bit more problematic, but those can be remedied with automation, with innovation, with technologies, so that you don't need that many hands anymore to achieve the same thing or even more. So that is why, so China, even though I'm not a fan of the CCP at all, or Xi Jinping, or one-man politics in that sense, but I think the Chinese culture is just not the same as what we consider like an ideal constellation or configuration of societal players. It just works differently. And I think Peter Zeihan's sort of pro-American fanboyism, which I appreciate, no doubt about that. I mean, America is great and all that. A mixing melting pot is probably the superior configuration, despite all the drawbacks. I still think the ability for China to do rapid moves to sort of like adjust, at least economically, and also the pure willpower, the political willpower they have, is outmatching the deficits. So China is a strong player and will remain a strong player. I don't think they will go all out aggressive with Taiwan. It may happen, but I don't think so, because just culturally, it is not really it's just not in their blood. That's what I think. It's my opinion. You may correct me on that, but America, however, yeah, it may be in the near and midterm, maybe on a more prosperous path due to current political configurations. But all that, America relies too heavy on carbon, on the whole positive carbon infrastructure. Positive carbon, by that I mean like carbon out of the ground. And whether we want it or not, whether it doesn't matter what you think politically, but the future will be still carbon, but in a different fashion. It will be carbon neutral. And so we will cycle carbon for collecting energy and releasing it in whatever form or shape. But in that new scenario, America will play less and less of a role. And that will have much, much, much stronger implications on world economy and politics than like a shrinking population. Like by far, like, yeah. And that's it, folks. See you next time.